Hey nerds, Jimmy here with.
Still Kyle.
What is it, Kyle, or am I in virtual reality? Nope, it's Kyle.
How is I'm here?
Which brings us to our point. We're here to talk about virtual reality, specifically Warner Brothers coming out and saying they really want to build, for lack of a better term, Ready Player One, the actual virtual reality, because we already saw what they did to the movie.
Do you think that they watched the movie?
I'm beginning to think nobody watches movies other than us because we keep seeing these things that scientists want to create.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, did anybody watch Terminator? I did. Anybody watch The Matrix? I did. Anybody watch Ready Player One? I did. And these kind of have happy endings, but not really, because at the end,
Matrix, iRobot.
yeah, humanity wins, but where are they when they win? I don't want to live on that planet. And Terminator, oh good, we won at the end, but then they keep coming back, and it's
Age
always
of Ultron.
Yeah. Come on, man. Why do we keep making this stuff?
So, with that being said, say they do go all the way through it. They create this virtual realm with Disney rolling out their Omni mat of being able to run around wherever. And that's one of the coolest presentations that I've seen in a long time, which I don't understand how it works, but it's like little like hexagons that are all together. And no matter which way you're walking, you always stay in one spot.
Which is amazing to me because the number of videos, granted, they're on nothing, with people with the Quest or whatever, and they run into shit. I'm like, kudos for them making that, but I don't know how that works because humanity is clearly not ready to stand still.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to how that mat works, but that's going to be a pivotal part of this Ready Player One thing, where it's like if you're standing up, then you can at least like move around and run and all this kind of stuff. And it's weird because it's a way of getting exercise while being inside, but also being in a virtual world instead of a real world. Instead of going to the gym or going for a run, you're just doing it inside VR.
I believe that's how they got Neo in the first movie. He used to be just some fat guy at a computer, like, dude, why don't you work out? Here, you can just sit here and do it. Like, cool. That's how I would get into it, sadly.
And that is the upside of it, is like it is kind of more appealing in that realm where it's like I get to run around in this virtual world, I get to explore things, I get to actually do all that, which is cool. But with what Warner Brothers is trying to build with Ready Player One, is it going to basically be this metaverse that have been promised for years? Or is it going to be a full like video game simulation where it's like a World of Warcraft, but you are in first person this time? Like, how far down that rabbit hole are they going to go is the real question.
And that's not to say like VR is cool. Like we have a Quest and it's awesome to play in it. And I, of course, got Star Wars games and I got to be Darth Vader. It was awesome. I love it. But even in Ready Player One book and movie, they realize Tuesdays and Thursdays, the Oasis is closed because humanity is now just only in that. Right. We don't have interpersonal connections. And obviously that would be way far down the line if that did happen.
I think it would be faster than you think, though.
But society with COVID already kind of got cocooned. And to introduce something that was ready to go like that, I can see them never coming out.
Right. And that's the scary part about it, right? Is where if your life in the virtual world is better than your life in this world, what's the
why come out?
Yeah, like what's the incentive to be a part of this world, minusing having to eat and all of the things that your body needs to do. But I'm sure they'll solve that eventually.
On tubes everywhere. I mean, it's literally the Matrix. It's scary.
Yeah. So if we head towards that realm, what do you think it will be too gimmicky for people to really dive into, or do you think that they won't roll it out until it is that good?
That's a good question. I know Microsoft has, in the past, had this policy like it's got to be perfect before we put it out. Make all your Microsoft jokes you want. They actually had a phone ready to go, but it wasn't perfected. Apple, on the other hand, had their iPhone, which was not perfected, and they threw it out in the world. And everybody's criticizing, oh, if you hold it there, the antenna doesn't work, it bends, whatever. So they played with it until they got it perfect. Microsoft finally released it when they were ready. And who has a Microsoft phone?
Yeah. You guys remember the Zune?
Exactly. Peter Quill does. So I think, and ironically, Apple is releasing for like a gajillion dollars. It doesn't matter because I can't afford it anyway. But on February 2nd,
you have the Vision Pro.
Which looks badass.
Right. But it's more of an augmented reality experience, correct? Where it's like, yes, it's like putting a visor on opposed to a blinded aspect, where you're integrating both video and real life together.
But I feel like that's a way to get professionals. Most professionals now are of a certain age who would be less likely to just grab on to VR. But we get them into this, start this way, and then the next step is, hey, we got an upgrade.
Right.
Now you're in the Oasis. Oh, cool. Cool.
Do they do it? My question is, with this piece of tech, are they designing it for like an everyday wear, right? Like I'm going out into the world, like you're building a universe on top of our universe, like a world on top of our world. Like, so if I go down the Vegas Strip, I get all these little pop-ups that like aren't there in real life, but like are in VR. I want to know if that's the goal, where it's like just augmenting what's already there. And like, yes, this sign says something different. Like this ad is different in VR than it is in real life. So now you can sell the same ad space twice.
I feel like, yes, I haven't checked in a while, but when they first described it, I thought Minority Report. That's kind of what I thought going forward, was that they were like, you could be at your computer desk and you can have your keyboard here and do what you need. You're still going to see whatever's literally there, but you're going to be able to have augmentation, like you said. But then if you're just walking down the street or riding the bus or, heaven forbid, driving the car with that thing on, you're going to see like, are you hungry? McDonald's, next stop, right there, without the billboard off to the side, sort of thing.
Ooh.
And again, this is my imagination going wild. I don't know the truth, but
no, that's kind of strange, because when I was in a college class once, and this one of our professors brought in someone to talk about the future of technology, and he described something very similar to that aspect, and he goes, it will happen in your lifetime. And again, this was 10 years ago. You know what I mean? And he's like, yeah, like imagine a place where it's like the car knows that you haven't eaten today, or the car knows that like you normally stop here on your way thing, which kind of already happens with our phones as it is. And DoorDash and Uber Eats are very good at being like, hey, you ordered pizza yesterday. What about today, huh?
Yeah. Well, it's again in Minority Report. After he got his eye transplant, he walks into a store, and they say, "Mr. Kwan," or whatever his name was then, "Are you interested in pants or whatever like this?" And it's like, how did the store know that that dude went into that store and this is what he bought prior?
Right.
And you're basically, that's what cracks me up with it. It's like, oh my gosh, Bill Gates put this in the phone, and now they're all going to get it. It's like, they already got it.
Yeah, no,
they already got it.
Your data's there, and the craziest part is you gave it to them.
Yeah.
That's the worst part. Is you've got to understand that if a platform is free, you're the product, and you have to understand that from just top-down perspective. Is if you're mad at everything that they've built with our data, just know that the second that you signed up for MySpace or Facebook or any of these things, you were feeding them this data to begin with. And now it's been to the point that they've got ads that are pinpointed to your interest, and they know if you're going to buy or not, and when you'll buy, most likely. I don't know if you've run any like ads recently, like ad campaigns, but they're pretty laser targeted at this point, and it's kind of scary.
And they can track where you go on the internet, where you came from, how you got onto their site. And this is assuming you're actually at a computer, not just your phone. And they can track where you're going and how you went there and your patterns, and basically make it easier to get to the end goal for you next time. It's unbelievable. So having that without the devices in front of you to have to get there, literally VR, and just being able to say something or tapping something to get what you want. That's what they want. They want less obstacles to sell.
And there's two pieces of technology that are really leaning into it heavily. I don't know if you've seen this Rabbit AI device.
I have not.
So this device is basically, it's in addition to your smart device, but once you teach it how to do things, it can basically, you can be like, order me an Uber 20 minutes from now at this location. I want to go here. And you'd be like, book your Uber. You have to confirm it, and it'll do it. So the way that piece of technology works is it understands interfaces. So instead of having to learn this app or build an app for this app or build that for this one, it learned how to integrate with the interfaces of the app. So
Wow.
it knows which button to press and all this kind of stuff instead of sitting here and being like, you need to build an app for this device. It just learned how to exist on top of it, which is mind boggling to begin with.
Yeah.
But it can also be like, you can like show it a picture of you and it'll be like, um, save Jimmy in my contacts as this. It'll like take the photo. It'll like save all of this information about you, as well as like be able to translate like live translation. It has a 360 camera on it. Like it's very, very wild to see the technology path forward. And it's going to be one of two things. It's either going to be on your face or it's going to be in your hand. And I think that will be the distinction of like the next 20 years is like people that are deep in like the oasis and people that are still like have access to the oasis, but they're kind of living outside a little bit. And I don't know who's going to have the better experience.
Yeah.
And
which is good and bad because, ironically, in my opinion, the older generation is going to be the last to embrace this. That's just typical with technology. Yet they would probably gain the most from it because they're not able to be as active.
Yeah, mobility, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that would be fascinating. But then we're going to probably run into, and Japan has had this for years, not necessarily just because of technology, where there's just this non-social element where literally dating, social interaction is not happening as much. So their population is not growing the way it normally had in the past because people aren't getting together and having babies.
Right.
It's like, yikes.
And that's where that digital augmented aspect can be helpful, I guess, because maybe you are on a FaceTime date, but it's more like a virtual thing where it's like, as soon as I take these glasses off, you disappear, which I don't know if I like or not, but
yeah,
that too. And it can very much be used in darker ways and all this kind of stuff. And I think that as we move forward through this hurdle as a species, we have to figure out where the line is, because it's going to get scary fast. And AI systems, you look at ChatGPT,
yes,
like just last year versus right now, the technology is moving faster than we could ever imagine.
And I think that's one of the frustrating things that we see here in America is what potentially will be, and yes, we are going to talk politics briefly here. We have two very old men running for president, essentially.
Yeah.
We need younger people to get in on this because they're the ones that are going to be making the laws on this. But AI is so fast and growing so quickly, technology in general, that we could potentially be in big trouble.
Yeah, by the time they make a law about it, it's already 10,000 light years in front of that law. You know what I mean? So it's like, how do you defend against corporations invading this space and running as fast as they can to make as much money as they can
to pay off the future lawsuits?
To pay off these future lawsuits that you'll see hovering in your face because there will be no TVs anymore. That it'd be like, were you involved in this lawsuit in 2021? And
so I need to get better at the 3 seashells, find out what the hell that is, become really, really loving of Taco Bell.
Yes.
And know that Demolition Man's coming.
Yeah, and this is a topic that we could continue to dive into, but it'll get bleak. So I think we should stop here.
Watch more movies.
Tech giants.